Good afternoon. If you have a small business, you've probably been getting inundated with emails and reminders and Facebook posts about all of the opportunities that are available for you as an entrepreneur and especially as a small business. And you might feel confused because you might not speak legalese. So today I'm bringing to you somebody who speaks the language and can translate it so that the rest of us can absorb it. I want to introduce you to Katie Centolella. She's a business coach who specializes in helping small business owners navigate the minefield and see things that they can't even see coming. And so she and I were just talking about how this whole COVID pandemic is causing so much confusion and fear. And she has educated herself to kind of cut through the BS and teach us what we need to know. So Katie, thank you so much for taking time in the middle of a Saturday. And it's kind of funny. It's like, who the hell cares what day it is anymore?
Is it
right?
Saturday? Is it Wednesday? I don't know.
I know. But I always say Katie is my favorite no bullshit lawyer. She actually speaks to you rather than over your head or around you. So I'm so glad to introduce you to her today.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for putting this together.
Oh my God, my pleasure. So I'm going to mute myself and
Okay.
have you talk. I'm going to transcribe while you're talking. Like, what is kind of the basics that we need to know at this
Sure,
point?
sure. So, yeah, I appreciate coming on. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. Before we started, I said, I got really nervous like 3 weeks ago because all of a sudden my phones went quiet. I didn't know, my kids are home, my phones are quiet. I don't know what to do. I spent my life advising business owners and businesses, small businesses exclusively mostly. I don't know what to do. And so, fast forward to 2 weeks ago and the federal government passes the CARES Act, it starts working on the CARES Act and passes the legislation, and it's spot on into what my clients need. We talk about the small business, but when we're talking small business now, we're talking a business with 500 or fewer employees. That's what this legislation is aimed at. Now, that's most of our businesses, most of my clients' businesses, most of the people that we know who are in business. It's this legislation, the CARES Act, is for all of us, from those sole proprietors who are just themselves running their own business with no employees to a business with 500 employees, or fewer. So this is all of my practice, and so I, got right into it as soon as the legislation passed Congress, even before the president signed, because I needed to understand how is this going to work. My clients, they're already, if they weren't previously, had already started layoffs, mass layoffs. They had tons of questions about how they're supposed to pay their bills. Many of them are in the middle of some sort of project, whether it's rolling out a new product, building something. We're heading into spring, and everyone is getting ready for completing, summer work, and everything came to a halt. And so, what became clear over the last few weeks and is now really crystallized is what the small business owner should do. And I can kind of break it down into sort of, at this moment, two things. If you're a small business owner, and to be clear, that means if you work for yourself and for the last, year, you've been making some money in your own business, or you have a company and you employ people, then you should be doing two things. Number one, you should be going to the SBA's website. They have a economic disaster sort of relief loan program. And a part of that program is a grant. So it's a loan and it's a grant. Every small business who has suffered economic harm as a result of the New York State shutdown, the fact that your kids are at home, the fact that your employees are out, whatever the harm over these last few weeks, you can apply today for that program. You can get $10,000, up to a $10,000 grant. It's a couple clicks. The only information you need is what your prior year's total receipts were in your business. So let's say you, Jen, let's say you had $100,000, you made $100,000 of total receipts. You also need to know what your cost of goods sold were. Cost of goods sold, for the average person is nothing. Cost of goods sold means, what did you pay for the stuff that you resold? Well, you're selling your knowledge base, so it's zero. Those are the two numbers you need to know. And you need to know your social security number and a few other miscellaneous things. And you click submit, and you're in the queue for a $10,000 grant, as well as a low interest long-term loan should you qualify and should you want it. It's a very simple process. That became available as of this past Monday. And I will give you the website so you can post that. Actually, I can tell it to you right now. It's a direct link. And it's HTTPS, right? Little ellipses, // COVID, COVID 19 relief.sba.gov.
Is it SDA as in dog or B as in bus? SBA?
SBA, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wonder if I can even click it, pop it in here.
And I can put that in the link later after we're done.
good.
I can always go back and so you're saying this is a grant which you don't have to pay back.
You do not repay.
And then
$10,000.
So what if my husband and I are both business owners? Are we both eligible for this?
Yep. It's per business.
Okay.
So your business is eligible. The criteria is that you've been in business. There's a variety of other things. I mean, you can't be a criminal. You can't be behind on child support payments. You can't be in the pornography industry. Like you can't be a member of Congress. All right. Or work for the SBA. But as long as you pass those thresholds, and the most important criteria is that you need the money, is that you suffered harm because of the fight. And so for a lot of people, that harm is that their clients, I put my dogs outside, their clients can't pay them right now. Or they committed to, bills. For instance, you subscribe to expensive software and you have to pay that every month, whether you have clients or not. Yes. And we'll talk about payroll later, but payroll is also something that you may have, or including paying yourself, right?
Right.
So as long as you've suffered or you anticipate suffering economic harm.
Okay. That was my next question.
Not everyone has been harmed yet. You don't know, but you anticipate it, then you're eligible.
Okay. So it's suffering economic harm? Is that the...
That's right.
Okay. So you're going to take a hit someplace. You have something that you're paying for that you may not be able to cover. You might not be able to pay yourself. Like these are all things that you see coming down the pike.
That's right.
Okay, so that's really helpful.
For instance, I had a client who is in the retail business and it's seasonal apparel. So they have purchased all of the summer, apparel. Everything is already committed to. Shoes for now. Or these people are going to start buying now for summer, were ordered last,
fall, right?
So they have to pay for them. They're going to have them, and they're sitting in their shop right now, and the doors are closed.
Right.
That's a really clear example of straight economic harm. But for this crisis, they would have had no problem paying those bills, right?
Sure.
So that's what this money is for, and it's a very simple process. And then what happens after that is you're in the queue. You'll get an application number. The first application I put in for a client, we were number 35,000. The last one, which was on Thursday, was 716,000.
Okay.
Their application number. So the money is supposed to hit within 3 business days after completing the application. Like you plug in your bank account information and your routing number, and it's supposed to be deposited. Now, the first application was in on Monday, and the clients that I was involved with, none of them have seen money yet. Mm-hmm. So there's a delay, and can't promise what's going to happen, but that is the way the legislation is written, and that's what's supposed to happen.
Okay. And is there anybody that they're turning down for this?
So they're not supposed to be. It's supposed to be if you meet the very limit. There's not a lot of criteria, but if you meet it, then you're supposed to get the $10,000, and that's the grant, and that is you don't have to pay it back.
Okay, great.
It also puts you in the queue for SBA loan. An SBA loan that can be for a lot more than that $10,000. It's for a long-term period of time. Like let's use an example of another client who, they have to shut down. They're not essential business. They're keeping as many people on the payroll as they can, but they're losing their prime season. They're just going to lose it, and they can bear it if they can spread out the pain over a period of time.
Okay.
You get this SBA loan, and it is very cheap working capital. It's 3.75%, and ideally for several years you'll have a loan, and that will help them spread the harm, right? Otherwise, we get to the end of shutdown, maybe this month, maybe next month, who knows? They don't have a business if they don't have this working capital, this availability. So that's one program. That's one thing people should be doing. So we'll post that link. If anyone has suffered economic harm. Now remember, this applies to sole proprietors. You have a business that you made money in over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you can show that because you've filed tax returns, your own tax returns even. So your Schedule C on your tax return shows this was my business, I ran this.
Mm-hmm.
You're eligible for this money as long as you have some harm.
Okay. Or anticipating some harm.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
That's number one.
Okay.
Okay. Number two is, people may have heard a lot about this, the Paycheck Protection Program.
Okay.
Okay. This program and what is called the EDIL. We just talked about the EDIL. That's the Economic Impact Disaster.
That was what that was. Okay.
That's the EDIL. Now the Paycheck Protection Program, these two are related, but not the same. Okay. So the Paycheck Protection Program is the one that is the money's flowing through banks, local banks, national banks. Okay. So it is specifically, the amount of loan you can get on here is specifically related to how much you had an average payroll over the last year.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk payroll first. That's a confusing word. And for someone like you and like me who are self-employed, we don't have, well, I have some employees, but for a lot of people, they just run their own business and they take the money out when they make the money, right?
Right.
Payroll means compensation, also includes compensation to the owners that may not run through a traditional payroll service. So there's a couple different examples here. Number one, let's take someone who works for themselves. They pay themselves. Say they made $150,000 last year in their business. They have a nice business. They don't need employees. They use their intellectual capacities, and that's what they do. All right, they're eligible for this loan. They were up to $100,000. $100,000 of wages paid to yourself is what you would take. You take $100,000, and of that, the amount you're eligible for loan is 2.5 months worth. So if your annual salary is $100,000, you get 2.5 months worth of that. That's your loan amount. So you're going to go to your bank and you're going to say, okay, I work for myself. Here's a copy of my, financial statement for the year and a copy of my tax returns. It shows you that I made $150,000 last year. They're going to say, okay, well, we can only fund your loan up to a max salary of $100,000, and of that, only 2.5 months. So I don't do math.
That's like 24,000. So it's a little more than like $30,000 or something like that.
So they are going to get a loan for $25,000, $30,000, right? That loan is a forgivable loan.
Okay.
Meaning they take that money, and if they use it for payroll expenses, utilities, or rent, they don't have to pay it back. So let's use the example of the person who owns the retail store. Again, it's a good. All right. So the person owns the retail store. So they have rent expense, and they have wages. They pay wages for the year. So his average, payroll was like $8,000 a month, counting himself. So he paid $8,000. Maybe it was $10,000. Not a lot because it's himself and like one or two other people. So he's looking at $25,000 loan he'll get through this. Now, right now he doesn't have as many employees because he can't open a store, can't sell shoes. Well, he can take some of that money, up to 25% of it, and pay their rent. Mm-hmm. And pay himself, right? Because he's an employee. And then he can pay another one of his employees just to stay at home.
Wow.
Right? Not have to be on unemployment.
Wow.
Pay him a salary to be at home. Let's say he has them at home, scouring for the next season's looks or doing remote work, right? The whole purpose of the Paycheck Protection Program is to keep your employees working, even if they can't come into your office.
Okay.
Even if you don't have much for them to do, it gives you, as a business owner, the money. So it doesn't come out of your pocket, it's coming out of this governmental, stimulus to pay them. And then as long as you're spending the money on wages, and some of it on rent and utilities, then you don't pay it back. So it's free money.
How will you have to prove where you use the money? What kind of?
You need to keep track. So you need to follow. You need to show. Ultimately, you need to show where the money goes. So you'll need. If you do have payroll, you just need your payroll reports, which are your annual payroll tax filing information. If you're paying a rent, you need a copy of your lease and then a copy of the checks showing that you paid, on a lease.
Okay.
You need just if you're paying yourself, you just need again show the checks from your business to yourself, or the transfers of money from your business to yourself.
Okay.
Um, just clear record keeping. But if you go back
Okay.
to the goal of the program, which is to keep you employed, to keep me employed, to keep our employees employed, so that you are not on unemployment
Mm-hmm.
for the next, and it's an 8 weeks for 8 weeks basically. So for
Okay.
2 weeks. So if you look at it from a 30,000 foot view, the government, as long as you apply, the government is going to pay your employees for you for the next 2 months.
Now, does this count? What about people like my virtual assistant, who's not necessarily my employee, but like a contract?
Mm-hmm.
Does that count?
It does not.
Okay.
Independent contractors or like
Yes.
leased employees, as currently as of the regulations are written right now, because I had an issue for a client who uses a management company, right? They
Uh-huh.
pay the management company, and the management company hires all the employees,
Right.
but the management company's too big. The management company's like thousands of employees, so they don't qualify. So they're trying to figure out what
Ah,
size. The way the regulations are written, and again, they just came out
sure.
2 or 3 days ago. They don't allow you to count independent contractors
Okay.
or anyone that's not your employee or yourself.
So the other question I have is, what if you get this loan and you don't necessarily need it? You find you don't need it for that, but like it's such a low interest rate. Can you use it for something else and pay, and you will have to pay it back?
You'll have to pay it back. It's a very low interest rate. This particular loan, though, yeah, you can use it for other things. It's just, I wonder, as I recall, the interest rate is like 1%. Like it's super low, and there is no interest in the first, I think, 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
my advice to clients has been apply for both of these loans right now. And this was even my advice earlier this week when it was unclear how they all work, even if you don't need it. Because you can pay it back. The
Mhm.
Paycheck Protection Program money is a gift, at least to the extent you pay yourself.
Yeah.
You don't it does is you don't have to pay this money back if you use it for its intended purposes. The EDIL loan, the other loan, if it turns out you're granted a loan or you get the money, you don't need it, you can just give it back.
Right, right, right.
We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what it's going to look like next week or the week after that or the month after that. Um, for some people, and I'll just give myself as an example, I think I'm going to have to pivot my business a little bit, right? I'm going to have to think about, all right, clients aren't just going to throw money on legal fees necessarily if they think they can do it themselves, and if they're just really trying to get their employees back. Like paying lawyers in many respects is a luxury. It's
Mhm.
either you're in real trouble and then you pay a lawyer,
Yeah.
or you're trying to be proactive and you're trying to set up your business the right way and just avoid liability down the road. Well, that's a luxury for a business who can't even make payroll,
Yes.
right? So I think for a lot of businesses, what this money can be, even if you've made payroll next week already, it's breathing room and it's the ability to pivot in the marketplace because we don't know what it's going to look like
I
next
agree.
month or the month after that.
I
So
think pivoting and agility is such a big place for business owners to really start thinking about how they can. It's not going to look the way it did look before. It's just not. And how can we kind of collaborate to help us move forward? So, have you thought about how you might pivot? Have you come up with any ideas?
I think so. I applied for the Paycheck Protection Program loan because, and I have part-time assistants and law clerks anyway, but I'm going to hire more, and I
Yeah.
think I'm going to try to implement a little better automate and better replicate certain processes that the average business client needs anyway,
Right. You and I had talked about that a long time ago.
right? And
That's right, right, right.
it's about time.
Yeah.
And right now, there's people with time on their hands that have real skills, and I would use this money to hire them to
Hmm.
help me launch into a new direction, so that when things shift and someone is looking for a lawyer, but they're not looking to pay the kind of money that I'm used to making on an
Hmm.
hourly basis, that they're willing to go through some sort of system. I think that's an avenue to explore. And I think for a lot of businesses, if they had the ability to have somebody pay their staff for 2 months,
Hmm.
and didn't have to come out of their pocket, they would explore new things they thought about for
Options.
their own business.
Right.
But right now, they're not going to hire more staff so they can do that, and they're not going. But if they want to keep their employees at work and they don't have enough work for them because they're shut down, they're not essential, or they're just not customers, it's an opportunity to really sit down with, coach themselves, read some books, focus on, all right, where can I grow in my business? Where do I want to pivot to?
Right.
We've all learned just how many meetings are not important.
Oh my God. Yes. So true.
How showing up at a job 9 to 5 isn't necessarily essential, that we can do things with a lot less time when we're actually forced to, right?
Yes.
So,
Well, not even like given that the government was able to push this through so quickly. It's like, aha, we have learned how quickly they can throw stuff through, right? It's really fascinating.
it can be done. On the Paycheck Protection Program, the thing I'll say there is in terms of how businesses should apply, what they should do. So this is the one, as I said, is going to the bank. And people have probably seen the news, like banks are not ready. They were like, whoa, we can't do it this fast. This is crazy. And what the government has basically said is, we don't even, basically the government's like, I don't even care if you vet them very well. Like, right? So Bank of America went live on Friday. They were the first one. And what most of these banks, the big banks, are saying, if you have a business account with us, we'll process your PPP. If you don't, good luck. Go find some other place. So I can say this for anyone listening and clients, the best place to start is with your own bank. Most of the banks are not ready yet. Even the big ones like M&T is one of the largest SBA lenders around, and I believe they're hoping to be ready on Monday, but they're not even.
I bet they're scrambling. My cousin just posted before that her husband works for a bank, and he's literally been on the phone all day trying to learn what he needs to learn and help people. So I think that everybody needs to be really patient, but know that if you've taken the proactive steps and you've done the applications, that you're on a list, and to just kind of stay on top of it, right?
There's a federal application on the Department of Treasury's website. I think it's on the SBA site too. It's very simple, and that's the way to start. Like getting all your ducks in a row, making sure you have your prior payroll information and the support for it. So if you have employees, that means you filed New York or federal
payroll tax
41 payroll tax returns. You have tax returns. For yourself, it's just making sure you can document how you paid yourself.
Okay.
Up to $100,000.
I think that's an important thing to know, because I think, my husband and I were talking about this, and I wasn't thinking of myself as my own employee.
You're your most expensive.
Duh.
Yeah, for sure.
Duh. Katie, how can people work with you? Because I saw that you're specifically helping people with this on your website, which looks so great, by the way. How can people connect with you?
So my website's the best place to go. It's got an online scheduling feature. You can click right through, schedule on my account, right on my calendar. And I fixed the fee at $99 for a consultation on this, because it's a lot of people who aren't used to hiring lawyers in the first place. So my hourly rate and all of that can be scary, I think, for some. And I think in a course of a call, I can help people understand the value of these programs and tell them specifically how to apply and how to get in the queue, right? The strategy for the last week was get in the queue, get in the line, because these are finite programs that have spending caps. If you saw the news this morning, like Bank of America being the only PPP lender basically live, it did like $6 billion or something in loans the first day.
Wow.
349 billion. Once all the other banks get in line, in my opinion, it potentially sells out in a matter of a couple of weeks. The availability of these grants, like it's just the volume is huge.
What is your website address?
It's www.kmcesq.com.
Okay. I want everybody to know that. So I've worked personally with Katie. I send all of my clients to her for their needs, and I have literally only heard glowing things from my clients who say, thank you so much for putting me in touch with her. She helped so much. She was amazing. She always has her clients' protection in mind. Like, she sees things 15 steps ahead of what you can't see. So if this is all making you feel anxious, I mean, what did you say it was $99 for the consultation?
Yep.
It's going to be
on my calendar.
Yeah, get on her calendar.
Help ease your mind about what you should or shouldn't be doing. And, we talked today only about a small piece of what's going on. If you have employees, there's a whole host of new obligations as an employer that are coming out too. So this is how you get some money. But there's a lot of other things and players need to be paying attention to.
And I love that you always can, like, you always just speak so clearly about this stuff. And I particularly really appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jen.
Your voice out there is really important. So thanks, Katie. I really appreciate your time today too.
Happy to. What else am I doing?
What else are we doing? I'll tell you what I'm not doing: vacuuming or doing laundry. That's what I'm not doing. Right?
Oh my God. The chore chart is really serious. You want to live here? Just sign up for this.
I miss my cleaning lady. I appreciate you so much, Katie. Thanks for this really generous information.
All right. Good luck.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.